Does Warmachine have a bit of a gotcha problem? Does it put people off? I found a post on Reddit which we're going to discuss on today's show, and I'm going to give you some advice which just means you completely avoid gotchas. They will never happen to you if you follow my advice. Welcome to Flail, I'm Northy. We're back making Warmachine content on the channel. I had a little bit of a hiatus where I was playing 40k. I also got twins in my life, which is amazing, but it has completely changed every single thing about my life. But I will be rolling out some content on the channel, so if you're a Warmachine player, please like and subscribe. Let's build a Warmachine community back on Epic Flail. So for those of you that don't know me, which is probably most of you that watch the video, because I've not played Warmachine for years, I first started playing Warmachine back in 2011, 2012. Took it very seriously, played 3 times a week, won multiple events, some Masters trophies behind me, played for England WTC 4 times alongside Jamie Perkins and Brett Wilkie and a bunch of other absolute top gents who I've had some hilarious times with. But I'm back playing from absolute scratch, so I've taken a chunk of time out of the game and I'm throwing myself back in. I am pure scrub level, but we're going to work our way up and we're going to battle to get ourselves back. Probably not in a podium, but definitely having fun at tournaments. So please like and subscribe to the channel. We're going to have loads of Warmachine content rolling out. But anyway, let's get to this Reddit post that I thought was really interesting. So the title of the Reddit post is called Bit Frustrated, and I'm not going to read it word for word, but basically this individual is annoyed that they played a recent game and they felt like there was a bit of a gotcha, and they feel that Warmachine's got a bit of a problem with gotchas. I'll read out a few of the key bits. Said, I'm sick to death of this being a game of gotchas. No matter how much I improve, no matter how transparent my opponent is, I just lose to gotchas. And here's their example. Their example is that their opponent told them that they had a max threat range of 15 inches and they'd never faced half the models in the opponent's army before. So immediately, it's an uphill battle. I knew I couldn't entirely avoid his alpha on the next turn, so I positioned carefully to minimise the damage. I was very careful about sight lines and distances, very conscious of what models I was feeding him. On his turn, he charges his 120mm model with a 3-inch melee at one of the models he could see, which put the Colossal on top of a forest my caster was hiding behind, and he had the reach to assassinate her. Oh, and even if he hadn't done it, after the game he said, yeah, I could have just trampled this other model forward and killed your caster. And then the rest of the post is them saying, I have 10 years of games like this, getting frustrated, it's meant to be open information. If my caster can be reached by your models when I'm clearly being very diligent, it'd be nice if you told me. Now, gotchas are definitely a thing in Warmachine. I don't think that is what I would define as a gotcha. And I mean this with greatest respect to that person that's posted that. But that's them not knowing the rules. And again, I say that with kindness, but there's no gotcha there. Like if a model charges another model and then it's within melee range of another model that maybe it couldn't see beforehand, it will smash your face in of that model. And that's just like a core mechanic of the game. That's not a gotcha. I guess what they're referring to is their opponent not going, oh, by the way, if you do put your caster there, I will be able to charge it and I will be able to kill it. And in Warmachine, the gotcha moment feels more prominent than other games because if you lose your caster, the game ends. So other games like 40k, you can be like, oh, I've lost that tank. I didn't mean to put that Land Raider there. I didn't realise that you could shoot it. It doesn't feel like a gotcha. It just feels like you made a mistake because your tank blew up. Whereas in Warmachine, if someone does this to your caster, you can, I think, misinterpret that as a gotcha by going, oh God, now I've lost the game because you killed my caster. Oh, because I didn't realise that. I would define a gotcha as when it's a specific rule or interaction that maybe not everybody knows about. That's a core mechanic. That's just a Warmachine rule that most people know. And you should know. Even if you start playing the game, you should know that if someone charges something, whatever's in melee range of it, it will be able to attack, even if it couldn't see at the beginning of the charge. That's just a rule. Gotchas are kind of things like, and again, my references are going to be like way off because I haven't played List Edition. But back in the glory days when I played Legion, Vale had Dark Sentinel ability, and if a model finished within 5 inches, a War Beast could make a full advance. So basically what would happen is you would have a War Beast in front of Vale, someone would charge the War Beast and it would just walk out of combat and it would take a free strike, but the War Beast would stay alive and then you'd go in and kill whatever charged it. And sometimes people would feel like that's a gotcha because they would forget about that specific rule. It's not a core mechanic of the game, it's just a specific rule that a model has. So they would charge in and you go, oh, Dark Sentinel. They go, oh, I didn't realise. Or Enliven was another one that Men Off Jacks would have. So, you know, take some damage and it can make an advance. So again, it's something where you would apply resources to kill something, and because you didn't realise the rules, something would happen. You go, oh, that was a gotcha. Now, there's definitely a responsibility for the two players at the table to let the other person know all the rules and help them out a little bit. And the way I would kind of define this issue is I would think about the games that people play and kind of put them into two camps, right? So if you are having in my head, there's like casual games of Warmachine, and then there's competitive games of Warmachine. Now, whether you're playing a casual game or a competitive game, at whatever level I've played at, there's always an interaction at the table, unless it's your mate and you just play all the time and it just becomes second nature. But even then, there's a moment where you both go, do you want me to go through anything? Are you familiar with my list? Do you want to ask any questions about anything that I have at the table? And it's just an opportunity to just check in and go, I've not played that caster before, what rules does it have? Obviously, you can just look on your app now, you can look on War Room, and just kind of check that you're familiar with everything. If it's a casual or competitive game, you should always go through that and have that discussion. It's just good practice. It's just a kind thing to do. It's just a polite thing to ask your opponent, even if you know they played the list before. Do you want me to go over everything? You're happy with everything? Now, if you go, no, I'm fine. I don't worry about it. I know what all your stuff does. Or sometimes other people go, I'm not bothered. I'll just sort of see what it does. Okay, fine. I still might sort of share a few bits of key information. Oh, that's fine. But okay, well, let me just tell you this because this is really important. Now, if it's a casual game, and it sounds like this was a casual game, this example. So here's what I would recommend people do at the table. This is what I would do if I was playing someone at the table. And it was a casual game. And by that I mean, no one's really asked who wins. We're just having a laugh and a chat and we just want to roll some dice. And we're maybe testing some lists out, but like we genuinely don't care who wins. We just want to have a good game and spend some time together. We don't want the game to just end suddenly. We want it to be a casual, fun experience. If my opponent placed a model in a position by which I could kill it really easily, I would go, oh, by the way, just so you know, if you are going to leave your caster there, I can charge it with this Colossal and then I'm going to be able to kill it. So maybe you want to put that somewhere else. Or if they'd already moved the caster and then they moved another model, and I go, I could charge that model and kill your caster. Just to let you know, it's a casual game, just after a bit of fun, just wait to flag it. Now, I think that's been a good opponent. That's a casual game. If someone was having a competitive game with me, which is where I would play nearly all my games, I'm not really interested in casual, I'm interested in a competitive game. And that's not that I play the game any differently, it's just I want to try and get in as many reps and as many games as possible. So if you make a mistake and I think, well, like the game could just end, I kind of want to end it so we can just go again and play more games. And I'll come on to why I think this mindset is better. But still, it's, for me, a different mindset to that casual game. So at the beginning of the game, still that same discussion, do you know what all my stuff does? No. But if I saw someone make a mistake at the table where I'm like, oh, you just put something in threat range, if it's a competitive game, I'm not actively going to be like, you just made a massive mistake. You've kind of messed up there. If the result matters at a tournament, well, you've made a mistake. This is a competitive game. The best player should win the game. And in my view, if you don't know your opponent's rules and you're persistently, or not even persistently, but you make a mistake based on not knowing the rules, then that doesn't make you particularly good at wargaming because it requires good memory. It requires practice and it requires knowledge. So if you do something that's like, oh, I forgot or I didn't realise, well, that's fine. The way you're going to get better is by now reflecting on why you didn't know. Did you not know because you don't play enough? Did you not know because you lost concentration? Do you not know because you didn't ask? Like, why do you not know? Competitive game. I think that's the right way to go about it. Now, it's a casual game, completely different. I think you should actively tell the individual. But to be completely honest, the way you eliminate gotchas from your play style is by learning the hard way of going, oh, I made a mistake. What can I do to not do that again? And if you have opponents that kind of handhold you all the time and go, oh, actually do this, actually do that, actually do the other, that's fine if you're playing casually and you just want to roll dice and you just want to have a laugh. But if you enjoy getting better at a game and you enjoy the strategy element of a game and you engage with this hobby because you want to see progress in terms of how you play at the table, stop moaning and get better at the game. And the way you get better at the game is by losing and making mistakes. And rather than going, oh, I don't like being gotchas, oh, people should help me out, blah, 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 go, how can I not let that happen again? What can I do to improve my play? Now, that is only relevant if you're playing a competitive game. If you just want to have a bit of fun and roll some dice, then your opponent should actively help you out if you both agree to play like that. The tension point and the elephant in the room is that Warmachine has always been a game, and this might not be the direction Steamforged, well, I feel like it's maybe not the sort of direction Steamforged want to aggressively take it. I think they want to have a bit more of a balance. but it's always been a game by which it leans more towards competitive side of things. 40k, for example, which is where many of us get blooded with our Wargaming experience, does have lots of gotchas. Well, it has a varying degree of gotchas, but because the game doesn't end when you make a mistake, a big mistake, or you didn't realise something, then the feel bad is less because you still feel like you have agency, even though actually those mistakes normally cost you the game. It's just you have to sit at the table for another 2 hours with someone gloating about it. Well, maybe not gloating about it, but it does, yeah, whatever. That's a side rant. Park that. Move on, Paul. It's a game where if you do make a mistake and you lose your caster, game's over, you instantly lose. And it's also a game where it's not hugely forgiving. It's a piece trading game with a lower model count than 40k. So like losing a significant piece, maybe you put a Colossal in a bad spot and you lose a Colossal, that's going to have a huge, huge impact on the game. So it will make it feel worse. You will be more upset about it. But the way I've always framed gotchas and the way I would kind of think about this dichotomy is this actually increases. So let me explain it like this. The reason I enjoy wargaming is because I get a dopamine release from trying to solve things at the table, and I enjoy the pressure of it, and I enjoy trying to outsmart my opponent strategically with my choices. That's what I get out of the game. I love the interaction, I love the social interaction, and I love the chat. That's a core part of it. But I could do that over a beer. We could do that doing anything. The reason I like wargaming is I see development, and I see myself getting better, and I see myself refining lists, and I see myself refining how I play lists at the table, and that's rewarding. And I get better and better, and I'd make little tweaks and changes, and I get better at the table. That I find a really rewarding experience. And the best games for that are the ones in which the stakes are high. So if you've got a game where the stakes are low and it's quite random and there aren't that many gotchas, and it's a bit of a railroad game, it's a bit like getting on a ride, and your opponent helps you out loads anyway, so you win based on variables that have less to do with your strategy and more to do with what list you've taken or what scenario was rolled and that sort of thing. They're not that exciting if you enjoy the strategy, because the buzz and the hit of of having to concentrate, it's reduced. It becomes a bit more random. So gotchas actually create a pressure that will, one, make you good at the game, and two, can actually be quite enjoyable. Now, when you get to a certain level of the game, the gotchas reduce to very minimally, and you see them in later rounds of tournaments where people get tired. So people, mental fatigue, playing. I've played 7-8 rounds sometimes, or your third day of a team event, your third day of WTC, and your mind is just absolutely fried, and you're forgetting things, and people are, I didn't realise you could do that, oh God, I've forgotten that, and these sort of gotchas start to come in. But that, again, is because you're mentally tired and you're forgetting things. But the best players in the world don't get gotcha'd, or they rarely get gotcha'd. It's such a rare occurrence. So their existence, I don't think, is necessarily a bad thing. I do think there are a good chunk of them in Warmachine, and the reason there are a chunk of them is because there's lots of synergies and spells and abilities that allow you to create situations and traps for your opponent to fall into. It's a game in which you can build synergies and strategies to try and trick and trap your opponent. So by its nature, it has a bunch of gotchas compared to other games. But that's not necessarily a bad thing. I think it's about the tension point that exists between casual players and competitive players. Now, this guy's a casual player, or girl, who knows? Smooth signal, who knows? They're clearly a casual player who's come up against someone who's competitive and was like, oh yeah, I could have just killed it. I could just wait out. And what they want to happen is they want someone to declare that, by the way, I could kill you there, like a check in chess. Now, I think they've got a fair point. If you want to play a casual game, you've just got to tell your opponent at the beginning what your expectation is. You want to go, is this a casual game or a competitive game? The tension point occurs because of the history of Warmachine and the way in which the rules are written, in the sense that take-backs aren't allowed, or take-backs are acceptable at a competitive level. So once you kind of put a model there, the model's there. Which is why, in a casual game, when someone moves that model, it's reasonable to just let them know that maybe that's a little bit of a bad position, maybe they want to put it somewhere else. But at a tournament, it's like, well, you've moved the model. So now you've moved the model, even if I told you, you've moved it, so we can't really have take back. So the tension point exists between those two different groups of people. And I think it's so important for people to make sure they're aligned in terms of, is this a casual game, is it a competitive game, what kind of unwritten rules are we having at the table. However, my personal view, and people can disagree with this and get angry in the comments, is this game is best when it's just played like no take backs. Let's go for it. Let's play competitive. But that's just a personal view. But regardless, here's my advice. Whether you play casually or competitively, here's how you can eliminate gotchas, right? And this is what this person should have done. This simple piece of advice would have stopped this happening. Warmachine's an open information game. So if you ask your opponent a question, they have to answer you with the information that's available to them. They can't just go and look at it yourself. Now, back in the day, I've had people throw cards at me across tables. I'm not going to name names or say when or where, but like I've had situations where I've gone, what's the threat range of this, what's the thing, and then they've just given me the cards. And I'm like, oh wow, okay, thanks, that's helpful. And they've sort of, made sure it's on my clock, so it's burning my time or whatever. I'm not sure that's the best way to go about playing any game. I would encourage people to use language and words and converse and talk. You get further in life. But anyway, regardless, it's an open information game. So what I will do, and what I've done of all war games that I've played, is I will say to my opponent, what's that do? I'll just make sure I've got like a general idea of everything at the beginning of the game, right? And if you haven't had time to look into everything or understand everything, that's fine. Get into the game and enjoy it. But when you come to activating key and crucial models, there is absolutely nothing wrong with saying, right, so my caster's here, I'm just going to move them up behind this wood, but I am slightly concerned about your colossal or something being able to charge it. Can you just confirm the threat range of that? And is there anything that I'm missing that will allow you to kill that model? If you're playing a casual game, your opponent should be completely transparent with that information and say, well, yeah, if you put that there, I'll be able to charge it with a colossal. If you're at a competitive game, you're playing a tournament, and you ask that question, your opponent's not going to be like, yeah, here's my strategy and here's my tactics and here's everything that I absolutely know. But if you're fair and reasonable with the wording, then you're giving your opponent a fair and reasonable opportunity to give you all the information that you require. So what you would do is you would go, I'm just going to move this model up to here, okay? If I do move it here, can you just confirm the maximum threat range that model has, should you wish to charge it, or should you wish to get over here? Now, it's kind of a bad example actually in hindsight, because this person just didn't know the rules. I don't really think this is a gotcha. I just think there's someone not really understanding and knowing the rules. But let's say I wanted to move a caster or a key model up the table to a position by which it potentially could be in threat of some other stuff. It's very fair for me to say to my opponent, what's the maximum threat range of that model? Because I'm worried about going into it, wandering into its charge range. And your opponent needs to tell you the maximum charge range and threat of that model based upon the synergies and the abilities it has available to it. So let's say it has a model that's like, 12-inch threat range, it's speed 7, it's got 2-inch reach, and goes, right, well, so I go, what's the threat range of this model here? And they go, it's 12 inches. Okay, so I'll sit outside of 12, then it should be fine. And then I just go, do you have any spells, abilities, or buffs which extend the threat range beyond 12 inches? And if they go, no, the maximum that thing can charge is 12 inches. Great, I'll sit 12.1 away, or 13, or whatever. I now know I'm safe for that model, because I've not only asked the threat range, but I've followed it up by saying, do you have any spells or abilities, combos, any synergies that will increase the threat range and allow it to charge this model? And they say no. If you want to really cover your back, you could say, do you have any abilities that would move my model nearer to your model, so which it could be charged? Depends on your opponent. If you're playing a good friend and they're very transparent, or just someone that at a tournament table, then they might say to you, yeah, there's nothing else I can possibly do. Don't worry, if you sit out of 12 inches of that model, there is nothing else I can possibly do. Great, thank you, I'll sit outside of 12. If they just go, the threat range of this is 12 inches, and you think, yeah, but okay, the threat of it's 12 inches, but is there anything else? You can follow it with that question, and just make sure it's completely transparent. You can avoid getting gotchas by open, regular communication and asking lots of questions. And the only challenge with this when you get to a competitive level is high-level Warmachine is about clock management for 2 reasons. 1, to win the game, and 2, to create pressure, the second of which is hugely undervalued as a trick and a key of winning a game, which I could do many hours of conversation around. I love the clock elements of the game. What you don't want to do is waste minute after minute after minute of asking your opponent 50 things. What's the threat range of that? What's the threat range of that? What's the threat range of that? What's the threat? But once you get good at the game and you understand the key pieces, it just takes 30 seconds to just check that where you're putting a model is safe. And if you're a competitive player, then I would encourage you to lean more into the open end. If I was playing a game at a tournament and someone said to me, what's the threat range of that model? what's the maximum threat range of that model, I wouldn't just give them the threat range of the model should it charge. I would give the threat range of the model should it charge and anything else I have available, which includes moving my models and moving your models, because that person is they've clearly got the strategic thinking to know that this is a key model and they want to put it in a safe position. If they just lobbed it forward and didn't ask any questions, then well, that's your own fault. You're making bad decisions. But if you clearly know, like, oh, I don't know what everything does, help me out, I think it is absolutely key that you give all the information. And if you didn't, and if you went, yeah, well, someone moved a model up, and you went, yeah, it's 12-inch fret. This model's got a 12-inch fret. And you go, okay, great, I'll sit outside a 12 then. And then it came to your turn and you slipstreamed it and then you charged. That's not okay. That's a gotcha. And that's a gotcha which creates a feel bad, because what do you say to your opponent then? You say, well, you only asked the threat range of it. You didn't ask me about any of the synergies. But you purposely withheld information that was available to you so that you could kill them up. That's not cool. So ask the questions. If you're not sure, ask the questions. Don't just put models in places and hope for the best. It's not okay. And I think if you follow that advice, then you, one, won't get gotcha'd, and two, will enjoy the game more. But another point, I'll sort of wrap things up on this, is it's not so bad. Like, if you make mistakes over and over and over and over and over and over again at the table, and the same mistakes, then it highlights a pattern that you probably want to do something about. Because my feeling is most people that play tabletop strategy games, they're doing it because they want to see their ideas and their strategies play out on the table. And the only way to get better at the game is to make mistakes. And it's a two-way process, because the reason people find mistakes difficult and frustrated is often based upon the engagement with their opponent. And we're all a little bit on the spectrum, or not even some of us a little bit, I'm speaking for myself, is we want, if someone makes a mistake at a table and you can tell they're upset about it, being a good human goes a long way. So talking to them about maybe what they could have differently, or saying, oh, don't worry, mate, I've made those mistakes, and just engaging with them, that can go a long way. Because I've had lads, like Brett springs to mind. Hi Brett, if you watch the video. Like, I would lose to Brett so much. Like, me and Brett would play each other like multiple times a week, and we would smash it. I mean, he'd probably win more than I did, to be fair to him. He'd probably, I'm very happy with saying that. Although I'd win a decent chunk. Come on, let's not lie. But I could play him all day. I couldn't care less. He literally could beat me all day, and I wouldn't care. And the reason I wouldn't care is twofold. One, he was my friend, and the way he would win games was kind and gracious, and just like, oh, cool, yeah, good game. I enjoyed that game. There was never any kind of feel bad moment. And two, we just kind of re-rack and play some more, because it was just about getting some reps in and hanging out and playing together. And the thing about Warmachine is, unlike some other games where you make a mistake early on, and then for the next 2.5 hours, you've got to sit with someone at a table where you slowly get crushed and you realise you're not going to win the game, but you've got to sit there for 2.5 hours. You make a gotcha in what you make a bad mistake in Warmachine, you lose your caster. Well, just re-rack. It's a skirmish game. You can just reset and you can play some more games. That was my mentality, and that's how gotchas to me just became something where I thought, okay, won't do that again. That annoyed me. And I also notoriously would sometimes redeploy, which people would take the piss out of me a little bit. But you deploy, turn one, you're 20 minutes in, you realise you made an absolutely catastrophic mistake, but you've got like 3-4 hours to hang out together. So there's nothing wrong with just going, can we just re-rack? I've made an awful mistake. Oh, okay, fine. You're there to have a laugh and roll some dice. It doesn't have to be, we can only play one game, we must play one game. But anyway, that's my view, that's my thoughts on gotchas. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe to the channel. I'm going to be rolling out some more content. I'm going to be doing a series of me getting back into the game. I'm going to be sharing my models, I'm going to be going through my list building, but it's going to be me completely fresh, not really knowing anything about the meta of the game, so it's going to be a ride. But I want other new players. I've got these trophies behind me. God, it's such a twat thing to. I want people that are returning to the game and new players to come along with me on that journey. So if you're a new player, like and subscribe, because we're definitely going to have some content and shows, and I'm going to be coming back doing some live stuff as well. All in good time. It's great to be making some content about Warmachine. Hope you enjoyed the video. Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like and subscribe to the channel, and don't get gotchas. God, I hate that word actually, gotcha. That's not even a word. Slang. See ya.